Hello, welcome to Nixon's The One. This episode deals with his focus on law and order in the 1968 campaign. It's April the 16th, 2025. I'm Eric Masters, professor of business emeritus, commentator, and podcaster. You can find me at my email address and YouTube channel. Nixon's wedge issue in 1968 was law and order, which he skillfully used to shift ethnic working class and Southern support to his candidacy. Richard Nixon gave a radio address on the topic of a commitment to order on March 7, 1968. The foundation of law and order was reducing violent crime. In that radio address, Nixon said, "Tonight I would like to talk to you about the number one issue of 1968. In fact, the number one issue in the world, and that is the problem of order, or more aptly put, the problem of disorder. By order," he said, "I mean peace at home and peace in the world. I mean containing violence." He invoked the legacy of Franklin Roosevelt, stating that it was more than a quarter century ago at that time that Franklin Roosevelt proclaimed freedom from fear as one of his four freedoms. Today, Nixon went on to say, there are many kinds of fear, but the central fear is the most primitive, the fear of physical violence. Stated differently, crime in the streets. Richard Nixon gave another radio address in the campaign on September the 29th, 1968. He used radio addresses to address issues, to speak more precisely on his plan to re-image the United States or reorder the United States priorities based on his view of the world. Nixon had relentlessly attacked the Johnson-Humphrey administration for being soft on crime, coddling violent perpetrators, and appointing federal judges who Nixon believed tilted the balance of the criminal justice system to the criminal. Nixon stated that under the stewardship of the present, that is the Johnson administration, crime and violence have skyrocketed in America. Under its stewardship, crime and violence have increased 10 times faster than the population. During the 1968 campaign, George Wallace, who was the former governor of Alabama, was running on the American Independent Party ticket as the presidential nominee across all 50 states as a third-party candidate. He was vociferously attacking Johnson and Nixon for being soft on crime. Nixon took that as a challenge, and instead of directly attacking Wallace, attacked the Johnson-Humphrey administration for its failure to adequately address crime and proposed his solution to it. A cornerstone of Nixon's program to address crime was to attack the U.S. Supreme Court, which he did vigorously during the 1968 campaign, and also participated in blocking two of President Johnson's appointees to the Supreme Court so that those vacancies would remain open and he could make the appointments should he be elected in November of 1968, which he was. Nixon said the following about the Supreme Court's decisions with respect to the rights of criminals. He said that several recent decisions of the court have tipped the balance against the peace forces in the country and strengthened the criminal forces. Note that Nixon's address to the nation on September the 29th, 1968 was titled Order and Justice. He wanted to make sure that he differentiated himself from George Wallace, who focused just on the order part of the equation, and that he also addressed the justice part, which he did in a variety of ways during the campaign. Another key part of the Nixon anti-crime program was publicizing the importance of swift apprehension and prosecution of criminals, and he proposed several specific measures that the federal government could take to address the issue. It's important to remember that the jurisdiction for combating crime is primarily at the local level in the United States, where the police and prosecutors that are locally selected implement the laws with respect to violent crime and other acts that adversely impact individuals. Nixon campaigned on television through various ads that he had produced, especially for his campaign in 1968, to focus on issues that he thought called for new leadership. And one of those issues was law and order. And he couched law and order in the broader term of trying to restore order to society, and that is stop the violent demonstration, stop the riots, stop the violence in wars overseas. This was a really singular effort on the part of Nixon to differentiate himself from the Johnson-Humphrey administration and to offer himself as a candidate who would promote a more normal order in the United States and the normal world order without violence on the streets and without the violence of war. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and stay tuned for more on Nixon's the One, his 1968 campaign for the presidency. Thank you and have a good day.